Speechwriter at the time of the Columbine massacre and now edits Washington Monthly. Michael Crowley is Time magazine's deputy Washington bureau chief. Paul Glastris, the White House spokesman today, was saying this wasn't the time for policy initiatives. Why not? Why not? If not now, when?
Well, this is a perfectly good time to talk policy. In the Clinton administration, when we had these sorts of mass shootings, you bet we used them to draw attention to policies that we had that we thought would lessen gun crimes. Since then, however, the politics of the country have changed. Politics of the Democratic Party have changed. The president and lots of Democrats over the last 8 years, 10 years have made the decision that trying to do something about gun crimes, about gun control is a political loser, and so very little has been proposed, really, since the late 90s.
Michael Crowley, is this likely to have any greater impact in terms of gun control than previous tragedies in your country?
Well, I'm afraid that I'm skeptical. We've seen a series of shootings over the years, and in many cases people have said, boy, this is the one. This one is just so ghastly. There's something so uniquely horrible. For instance, we had the one in the movie theater this summer in Colorado where the man was wearing a kind of a terrifying costume. It was in the middle of this Batman premiere. People were trapped in their seats. There was something, very unusually sadistic about it. Opinion about gun control didn't really change. The same thing happened when Congresswoman Gabby Gifford's immensely popular, appealing person was shot in January of 2011. Opinion didn't really change. I guess the one question now is the victims are so young, the number is so high. Is it possible that this could end up being qualitatively different in some way? I have to tell you, recent history makes me skeptical that it will be.
Yeah, but why? It is a matter of utter bafflement to the rest of the world when you see these things happening time after time after time, and there is no change of policy. Paul Glastris, what's your idea?
Well, I think if it turns out that this gun that was used in this shooting was gotten illegally, then I think there is a chance that we'll see some policy initiative. Because what really needs to happen in the United States is to crack down on the handful of gun dealers whose weapons wind up being used by criminals in crimes. The vast majority of gun crimes are from guns that come from a tiny fraction of gun stores. And the problem is that the federal government's agency to regulate gun stores, the ATF, is hamstrung by laws put there by Republican congressmen and senators and in cahoots with the National Rifle Association. And that's a good battle to have. But if it's a legal gun bought by somebody for whom our existing gun laws, even if enforced, would not have stopped, then it's much harder to see what the next policy step would be.
Paul Glastris, what do you think? I mean, why does this keep on happening in your country?
Well, we've got 300 million guns floating around the country. It's always been a country that revered the capacity of citizens, the ability of citizens to own guns.
But not to shoot children in school. Michael Crowley, what's your view?
Of course.
Well, of course. I mean but a big issue here that we can't overlook is mental health, because one common thread to a lot of these incidents are severely disturbed people who did not get the mental health assistance they need. So I just want to remind people that the story is about more than gun laws, and to some degree there's only so much you can legislate to prevent someone from hurting people if there's something severely wrong with them, whereas there are often red flags that are overlooked and people need help, they need treatment. In some cases perhaps they need to be locked up, but there is this element to the national culture, for better or for worse. It's written into the Constitution that there's a right to bear arms. People argue about what it means, but it has just become sort of part of America's character. I think that goes back to that sort of frontier ethos.
It was really striking, wasn't it, that Obama looked visibly very moved by what had happened. Do you think he's going to be moved enough to act on these inbuilt convictions which allow these people to act like this?
I don't want to be glib, but you might speculate that he was moved because he knows that so little realistically can be done and will be done. I think the political system, look, there is a well-funded, well-organized, very effective lobby that fights gun control laws in this country. On the other hand, you have a public that is horrified and outraged periodically by episodes like this, but the emotions fade, the intensity fades on the part of ordinary people who are glued to this story right now, whereas the National Rifle Association and those gun lobbyists and people who wake up every day thinking about this, they don't give up the fight, and they have the upper hand.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much. Now, some of the most distinguished scientists